Our workshop, a very productive workshop today, so if I could get a motion to reconvene, I would appreciate it.
I motion to reconvene.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda, but first, is there anything from the consent agenda that anyone would like to pull forward, council? No? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the regular agenda?
I move we approve the agenda as written.
Second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to adopt the consent agenda, approve the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as written.
Okay, second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Well, maybe. I'm just coming to the Okay, so the first item on the agenda, we don't have any old business. So the first item is, we'll move to new business. And this is ordinance 2023-01. Councilman Ellis?
Yeah, ordinance 2023-01, Title III, Administration, Chapter 33, Town Organizations. Be it ordained by the governing body of the town of Star Valley Ranch, the explanation is update the existing language to add an ex officio member to the Planning and Zoning Board. The amendment reads, ex officio member, period. The town building inspector shall serve on the Planning and Zoning Board as a non-voting member. The duties of the town building inspector include reviewing and stamping all building plans in accordance with the specifications of the town at the time of the issuance of the permit, inspecting and either approving or ordering appropriate changes to bring the building into compliance with the code. 150.019. Actions requiring permit. Attending all planning and zoning board meetings and answering questions that the community, contractors, etc. may have. I move the town of Star Valley Ranch approve the first reading of ordinance 2023-01, Title III, Administration, Chapter 33, Town Organizations as written.
Second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll kind of move it up to out to conversation, but are we doing an update?
No, it's because it's trying to connect to the server, so it's struggling.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this from the audience? It's pretty kind of straightforward. We're going to add the building inspector as an ex officio. Mr. Name, please.
Ed Koch.
Thank you.
And it's not regarding this specifically, but I am a little confused, and this hasn't happened before. The consent agenda, was there any motion to, or any movement to bring any of the items forward onto, what is it, farther down where you can talk about them?
There was. I did ask, and there were nothing. No one wanted to move anything forward, so we approved it as is.
Oh, I didn't hear it, nor do I see it on here, so.
It's never been on the agenda. It's just part of our procedure.
Okay.
So we ask if anyone would like to move it forward, anything from the consent agenda move forward, and I had none, so we approved it as is. And you're right, it was not on this. So, okay, so back to what we're doing.
I'm getting there, sorry.
That's okay. Any other questions on this? This one is pretty straightforward, this ordinance, so. Okay, we'll move. All in favor say aye.
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 Hearing none opposed, motion carries unanimously. Here we go. Okay, next item on the agenda is ordinance 2023-02. And that is me. I get to do this. So this is General Regulations, Chapter 90, Animals. And as tends to happen sometimes, we realize that we need to add to our definitions. And so this particular one is, we're adding the word leash to definitions. And the definition of a leash is, a leash, also called a lead line, or tether, is a rope or similar material used to control an animal by attaching it to a collar, harness, or halter. And the motion is, I move the Town of Star Valley Ranch approve the first reading of ordinance 2023, Title 9, General Regulations, Chapter 90, Animals as written. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions on this? If you're wondering why we have to define this, it's because we have people who use e-collars and they don't qualify as a leash. So we needed to define that.
I'm sorry, ma'am, what did you say, why you were doing this?
We're doing this because we've had some challenges with individuals using an electronic collar, a shock collar,
Okay.
and not a leash, but the law is very clear that it needs to be a leash, and so we've just defined a leash, so there's no
When they're off the-
questions.
When they're off property, right?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Okay. Hearing no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, next item on the agenda is ordinance 2023-03, and that is, I believe, Councilman, sorry, Councilman Merrill.
Title 7 Traffic Code, Chapter 72, Snow Removal. Explanation of clarification of wording regarding snow removal on town roads and the obstruction of fire hydrants with snow. Property owners shall not place snow removed from driveways or private property onto or across the traveled portion of the roadway or into the road right-of-way. No property owners, residents, or their agents shall cause snow to be removed from public or private property in such a manner as to obstruct free and clear access to fire hydrants within the town. No property owners, residents, or their agents shall engage the services of another to cause the removal of snow from their property, where the snow shall become deposited in such a manner as to obstruct free and clear access to fire hydrants within the town. I move the Town of Star Valley Ranch approve the first reading of ordinances 2023-03, Title 7, Traffic Code, Chapter 72, snow removal as written.
Second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions from the audience on this ordinance? Council? None? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Councilman Ellis.
Ordinance 2023-04, Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 154, Zoning. The explanation is this ordinance will eliminate the exceptions for political signs and property for sale signs in the road right-of-ways. This change will align town law with county and state law. In section 154.073 signs, subsection C1, it strikes the following verbiage: except for temporary signs indicating sale of property or political signs. Motion, I move the Town of Star Valley Ranch approve the first reading of ordinance 2023-04, Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 154, Zoning as written.
Second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Question from the audience on this ordinance. This is a change from the past.
I'm Ron Thacker. I don't know if you can hear me or you care or whatever.
We can hear you, Ron.
I'm a little curious about what the reasoning is behind doing this. And, I think we've had really good luck, with the signs for the political campaigns and stuff being done there, and I think the candidates have done a good job cleaning it up. And it leads me to think, I wonder if have a solution there that is really searching for a problem, because I'm not seeing the problem from the political signs and things like that, you know, in the road right of way. I think all of the candidates that I'm aware of, both for the association and the town, have done a good job of removing them and getting them off after the campaigns are over. So I guess I'm a little curious again, are we imposing a solution that is in search of a problem? Because I'm not aware of the problem.
So, this has come up several times over the past 8-9 years. And the challenge, there's a couple of challenges. We received, I don't know how many complaints. Personally, I think I received probably 20 complaints about the number of signs we have in town from residents. It detracts from the beauty of the community. It's not in line with our vision and mission statement. And so I really felt like it was time to look at this again. And why are we doing it? Why are other communities don't allow political signs on public property? Put it all over town on private property if that's what you want to do. But on public property, it's become a real challenge for us. Our guys can't maintain the sides of our roads during that time. And it's not just that we have them up for a little while. With the association signage and then the town, we literally had campaign signs up for 9 months, which is kind of crazy. And so that's why I wanted to bring it forward to this council. Now, I think we had some really good comments in the workshop today about this. There's a lot more people than maybe you don't know about that are not happy about the number of political signs we have in town. And another thing that, another reason, and I was at the legislature 2 weeks ago, and our Representative Byron, he came to me and he said, I don't understand why you have political signs all over public property in your town. You're the only one that allows it. County doesn't allow it, state doesn't allow it. And so it really gave me a lot to think about it, and he said, it makes your town look terrible. And that's our representative, and so I was like, wow, maybe we need to look at this again, because it is an exception, and also for sale signs. So that's kind of how this came about, is what do we really want to look like as a town? And I think we had another question. Dave?
Yeah, thanks, Dave Sanker. So, yeah, I didn't have to look for the problem. The problem found me this summer. I thought for sure it was a problem. So when I found out about this rule proposal today, I was pleased because the problem was evident all summer. It was a topic of discussion with many of my neighbors, with people at the dog park where I meet other neighbors. I don't know what happened this year because I've lived here since 2006, but the proliferation of signs was over the top. And then I thought back to everywhere I've lived and also went on to learn about other towns. And within the public right-of-way, it's very rare to have any exceptions for signage for a lot of reasons, including political interest. With regard to private property, certainly people have First Amendment rights and others that are sufficient to support putting signs on private property. But frankly, every time I've seen and every time I've looked at their regulations, which is not many, have time limits on that. Ours were up forever because of the cycles of the primaries and so on. And so it really was shocking to people. When I had guests this summer, we were sort of heads down driving through the ranch. And I actually mentioned something in the workshop today to our newest town council members who I'm excited to have on the town council. I'd never heard of them before. And the first times I saw their name were signs. But I didn't need to see their names literally thousands of times over the course of the summer because they probably had 50 or 100 signs each, and I saw them for 9 months. So there's got to be a better way that doesn't clutter up our neighborhood. So I support this motion for what it's worth.
It got him to let you.
Well, I'm not sure that the signs necessarily did that.
Can I add something?
Yes, absolutely.
So I just wanted to add that we did discuss this quite a long time during the workshop today, because initially my concern was, are we going to curtail future, public interest in wanting to run and campaign, and how do you get the word out, since we're a small municipal community and door-to-door and signs is usually the way it goes. But after discussing it at length and hearing from some of the public that were at the workshop, I think that by limiting the signs in the public right-of-way, there's still opportunities within town on private property as well as association property. The association's been very accommodating, at least they were during the last election. So I feel like
definitely was really wild this past election with the signage, I'll have to say that. And me being a first timer, I had no idea, I was like, is it always like this? So anyway, just.
Because it wasn't just the town's signs, it was also
Everything.
like, the prime, right, like.
Everybody,
That's
yeah.
what I actually started noticing more, was
Yes.
like, people that I had never, I'm like, who is that, I don't even know who that
Yeah.
is, and I don't know. Maybe, I've been here since 2017, maybe I'm still so enamored by the beauty of Wyoming and the ranch that I don't really notice them, like go, oh my God, there's that sign again? But, I mean, I can see where it might bother folks if they,
Yeah.
don't wanna look at it.
Yeah, and it, like I said, we're not stopping people from putting their signs out, but we're just stopping them from putting them on public property, basically. And we did, we had signs at the dog park, I mean, they were kind of all over the place this year, it was wild for my third election.
Well, this year was the first time that we had citizens get so upset that there were at least 2 signs posted, handwritten, big signs,
Oh.
posted saying, where's the SMO, why is he allowing this?
Yeah, and that was another challenge. And then really, it's, unfortunately, the SMO has to pick them all up, because people don't pick their signs up. So it looks like they all pick their signs up, but that's not the case.
I object to that. The association goes around the same day
Yeah.
and picks their signs up.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about, I wasn't necessarily to that.
Make that clear.
Yeah, so anyway, and we had a volunteer to came and picked up a ton of signs for us, which I really appreciated, so.
Give a little comment.
You did have another comment? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I see I'm going to lose this argument. Okay, but if the problem is a litter sign in front of the people, on the signs, then if you put the signs up on private property, or you allow it, you still have the same problem. So again, I'm asking the question, are we defining a solution that is looking for a problem? Because
No,
I
it's a
don't see
problem.
the problem that other people do.
We heard
Okay, and the other thing is because you restrict it from the right of way, okay, but you don't and you can't from private property, have you really solved the problem? No, you've imposed another solution, okay, that I'm not sure you're ready to enforce or set down. Like I say, I can see I'm gonna lose this argument, but I want to make the points that if the idea is to reduce the eye litter, okay, it's not working. Because all I gotta do is set that sign, the right of way is there, I set the sign there, you've got the same problem.
Go ahead.
So just quickly, so first you said you didn't see a problem. I mean, a lot of people have seen a problem, so I respect that you didn't, but a lot of people did. So there is a problem that does need a solution. I think that's pretty obvious. Whether this solution will solve the problem, I have an opinion, you have one. By the way, I hadn't thought about this until about 2 hours ago, so this is not something that I thought was, that I've had a chance to really think through. But you can't just go put a sign on my property or the other 2,500 lots. So every city that requires, which is pretty much every city,
I
requires
couldn't find
people
anyone
to
who
put it
allowed it.
on private property, the candidate has to go solicit that person and say, I'd like to put my sign on your property.
Mm-hmm.
A lot less people are gonna say yes to that than the opposite, which is today, which is, they don't ask anyone to put it on public, you just do it if it's public, so. I truly can't believe.
That's not a true statement.
So you guys police, the town approved where people, how many signs people place? on
Absolutely
public
not.
ground? Absolutely not. So
No,
people today,
yeah.
who don't even live here, because there were a lot of countywide and statewide signs as well,
Mhm.
went around the public right of ways because we're one of the few towns that allow it. I can't think of another one, there probably is one somewhere.
Yeah.
And so there were tons of signs in the public right of way. I find it hard to believe that eliminating that and requiring the actual candidate to go, or his representative, to go to each homeowner and say, I'd like to put it on the private property, that that's gonna result in the same amount of signs. It's clearly not. So I don't see, I'd like to find a reason to say that this is a solution that it isn't a problem, I think it is a problem. And do we believe this solution will reduce the number of signs? It will. It does in every other town.
Mhm. Okay, thank you everyone for your comments. Council, any other comments from you guys? No? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is, sorry. We started at like 8 o'clock, everybody. 8:30. Councilman Rock, would you like to read the mayor's appointment?
Yes.
Sorry.
I move the town of Star Valley Ranch approve the mayor's appointment of Debbie Longinus to replace Rue Rock on the Natural Resource Board. The appointment is effective immediately and extends through June 30th, 2025.
Second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions on this?
Good choice.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Now we have a proclamation for Arbor Day. Councilman Rock?
Town of Star Valley Ranch, Wyoming, Arbor Day Proclamation, June 10th, 2023. Whereas the town of Star Valley Ranch understands the importance of trees to the health and well-being of our town residents, and whereas the town of Star Valley Ranch understands that trees reduce erosion, provide shade, reduce heating and cooling costs, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide wildlife habitat, and whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality, and beautify our community, and whereas planting trees brings the community together and is a source of annual spiritual renewal, and whereas the town of Star Valley Ranch wishes to celebrate Arbor Day each spring to remind ourselves of the importance of trees in our community. Now, therefore, we, the town council and mayor of the town of Star Valley Ranch, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim June 10th, 2023 as Arbor Day to be celebrated within our community, in witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands this 14th day of February, 2023.
Thank you very much. Okay. Laptop just quit. All right, next thing on the agenda is, we have nothing moved from the consent agenda, so we'll move on to the mayor's update. Pretty short, it's that time of year, but let's see. So under communication, I want to talk a little bit about, we recently contracted with an individual, Casey, thank you, to help us with our social media. And her first post was a 700% increase over the last post that we had. So thank you. They're very visible, and I've had a lot of really nice comments about it. So really appreciate it. I think, you know, one of our big goals as a council was to improve our communication, and which is in line with what our citizens really want. So we're coming up with more ways to do it, but this certainly has helped. I would just like to remind everyone to make sure that you are on our email list, and just follow us on Facebook. Special thank you to Councilman Rock, who is writing the newsletter. It has a new look and lots of information, so it's great, and we're excited to get that out. And then also, yeah, just make sure that you're signed up for text messages and you get on our webpage, and we try to keep it up. If you see any weird things on there, let Krista know, because she just can't be everywhere at all times. So I appreciate that. Citizen participation, one of the things that kind of came out from the surveys and from the new council members is that we need more time at the council meeting for citizen comment. So we will start that process in March. It'll be the last thing on the agenda prior to the upcoming events. So it'll be after the mayor's update. And we will open it up to citizen comments and questions. We definitely have some procedures around that, so we'll post the procedures out in front and at the podium. And I did put an article for the newsletter, so hopefully we can get this information out to everyone. There'll be a time limit of, I think, 3 minutes, up to 45 minutes. And then they'll have to sign up ahead of time. So there'll be some rules to do it, but that gives people more of an opportunity to speak to the council. So I did want to make sure that everyone knows that.
Questions?
Yes.
So in order to be on that citizen participation, is that what you're gonna call it at the end of the agenda?
Probably, yeah.
We're gonna have to sign up for it before the meeting?
Yes.
So what if they get here and between all the conversation that goes on, something comes to mind?
As far as that we've not already discussed.
well, I don't know, you know.
Yeah, because I always give everybody plenty of time to discuss what we're discussing on the agenda. So if it's something else they want to bring up, like a berm, then they would need to sign up ahead of time. So, or you could run over there and sign up before the last person, I assume. Kristen, is that kind of,
Yeah, I guess we need to kind of.
We'll
discuss
clarify
the
that.
policy on that and
Okay.
when the sign up will be
Yeah.
off.
yeah, because I understand what Carolyn's saying, but there needs to be, and the biggest reason is if you want to get up and speak in that type of a setting, we need a little bit more information from you than we normally would in this type of meeting, so that would be the reason that they would sign up ahead of time. Or you can do it in writing ahead of time to the clerk, and then she'll make sure that the council gets it if you don't want to stand up in front of us, but we'll make sure that we get those guidelines out, and I didn't think about that, Carolyn, that was a good bring up, thank you. You try to cover everything, but you don't know what's going to happen. And the last thing I had was the State Land and Investment Board meeting is February 27th, and that will, that's when they'll look at our two bridge applications, one for the Hardman Bridge and one for the Middle Branch Bridge for funding. So there were a lot of questions on when that meeting is, so February 27th. And then we should know that day, whether or not we get selected. And that is all I have on the mayor's update.
What was the date in Kathy that you'll find out?
27th,
March?
February 27th, yeah. So that'll be a Zoom meeting if someone really wants something to do that day. You can go to the State Land and Investment Board website and click on so. Okay, last thing I have is upcoming activities. President's Day is February 20th and Town Hall will be closed. Coffee with the Mayor is March 14th at 10 a.m. And the Town Council regular meeting is March 14th at 7 p.m. And that is it. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move the town of Star Valley Ranch adjourn this meeting.
Second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye? Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries.
Recording stopped.
Well, it wasn't.